Hello and welcome to Higher or Lower, brought to you by oddschecker, Spreadex and Sporting Index, as we look ahead to the festive football across the Championship and the Premier League and look at the spread betting markets and pick the midpoint and choose who we think they will result in higher or lower. I'm your host, George Elek. Me and Sam Tighe to my right have obviously decided to wear Christmas jumpers today, and Jack Wright to my left wearing a magnificent T-shirt.
Superb, isn't it?
Yeah, it's good. John Rowe, who tweeted before the Old Farm derby saying, let's effing have it.
He did.
And then he scored twice.
He did.
And he had it.
He let him effing have it.
Yeah.
Absolutely
Bit
superb.
of a hero. Yeah, good.
Yes, he is. Good lad.
You told me that you got something to give me.
Oh, I do, yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
a little gift. As is Christmas, our last show for Christmas. So there we go.
Thank you very
Festive wrapping paper.
Where's Sam's?
Sam's, I'm waiting for the end of the season so I can get him some title-winning memorabilia for
Wow.
a gift.
So is that what this is? This?
It's not. I know you're penchant for teams in yellow, George, so there we go.
Oh, wow. Gabriel Sara. Nice. Look at that.
A beautiful Gabriel
Cheers.
Sara
I absolutely
mug.
love it. That is really great. The most key passes in the Championship this season.
Superb, and that's the main reason. There we go.
Lovely stuff.
Absolutely good. I was going to fill up with tea and have it ready waiting for you, but
That would have been great.
You'd have been dripping on
I
my
love
own.
a cup of tea, although I'm quite hot. So yeah, there we go. Christmas presents. Yours is in the post.
Yeah.
Let's get cracking with the with the higher or lower game, and we're going to kick off with a game that is tonight. It is Thursday. We're recording this. This game is tonight. So for many of you watching, the game would have already happened. So why don't you watch and see how we got it all right or wrong? Looking at the supremacy market here. So Spreadex have Brighton as favourites. 0.35 is the midpoint here. So lower would be a draw or a Crystal Palace win. Higher would be a Brighton win. Higher or lower, guys? 3, 2, 1.
Oh,
I am amazed.
me too.
You go first.
Sam's not amazed.
I'm not amazed.
Go on.
Okay.
This fixture is always 1-1.
Yeah, that's true.
It's true.
I mean, obviously, it would suggest that at some point it's not going to be 1-1.
Well, you know.
But it's always 1-1. So, recent heads-ahead here is 4 of the last 6 have been draws, and 4 of the last 6 when the game has been at Selhurst Park. The last 4 have all been 1-1. Like, it's ridiculous how often this score comes up. And I'm pretty sure it's to do with Roy Hodgson. I'm pretty sure, I'm not going to say it's his fault, maybe it's his doing.
Okay. It's him.
There's a certain amount of nullification happening here for Brighton.
Nullification is an amazing word.
Well, Brighton get nullified, don't they, by Roy Hodgson? And even through this recent rise, last couple of years, where they've got better and better and better, there is a certain amount of kryptonite in football that happens, and certain tactical matchups do not suit you. And old Roy knows how to
Nullify.
to nip this Brighton side in the bud. So injury hit or not, I mean, look at how far they took Liverpool, and look at what they managed to do in the final stages against Man City. This is a team that will not give up, that will be stubborn. Yeah, I like the upset, I guess, if that's what you can call it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jack?
Yeah, much the same. I think Ezer is from what Roy said, is close to a return. Also, there's also rumours that he might be on his way, and Steve Cooper going in there as well. I think it's without doubt that the players like working for him, despite his kind of methods, or despite the fact that he's a nullifier, as we're now going to call him, the nullifier.
Get out of the mug.
Exactly right. And of course, they picked up a brilliant point last week against Manchester City, which showed that they are willing to fight to the end when it looked all but lost, didn't it? So Brighton were disappointing against Arsenal. 2 wins in their last 11 as well, so not in great form at all. And you're right, I just feel that this does tend to be a very tight affair, tends to be 1-1, as you rightly say, and it tends to result in a late Brighton goal to kind of get that result as well. So yeah, I'm happy to go with the double chance here of Palace and the draw.
Yeah, I agree. And I think Brighton's away form this season has been pretty poor, and I think their general trajectory under De Zerbi seems to be taking the first downward turn right now. So I completely agree. I also think when you look at Palace's home form this season, on the face of it, doesn't look great. Just the one home win that came against Wolves, but actually their game has been pretty tough. Like, they've had to host Arsenal at home, they lost by a solitary goal. Liverpool at home, lost by a solitary goal. Tottenham at home, lost by a goal. Everton at home, lost by a goal. So like, even though they're losing games, they're not far away in those, and they held Brentford to a 0-0 draw and Forest as well. So I think getting both the draw and the home win on side is big here. And for Hodgson, this is a massive game because of what is at stake here in terms of not just the rivalry between these two sides, El Gatlico, you sometimes see it called, but also the just his job. I think, got a little bit less safe when Steve Cooper was shown the door by Marinakis at Forest. So, yeah, we're all aligned here. On to Aston Villa against Sheffield United. Villa's home form, obviously, very good. Sam?
Very good.
Villa's home form, obviously, absolutely incredible.
It's perfect.
It's perfect. Can form be perfect? Yeah, I think it probably can. Well, no, because form...
Don't overthink it.
Yeah, I don't think you can have perfect form. Well, no, I say it feels good. Sheffield United under Chris Wilder, looking just to somehow scrap and get something from this. We're looking at the total goal line here, and it is high. Maybe unsurprisingly, given Unai Emery's side's goal-scoring record at Villa Park, but 3.5 is a midpoint here. So lower is 3 or fewer goals, 4 or more would be higher. 3, 2, 1.
Oh,
what?
4 Reds.
I'll go first here. I've got last time. I think Chris Wilder is having something of an impact at Sheffield United, even though I don't imagine that they will be able to get anything from this game. I think Villa will win it. I wouldn't anticipate that will cause them too many issues going forward, but I also think that we are seeing a Blades team who are kind of buying into what Wilder wants them to do, which I always think was going to be the interesting first part here, where Chris Wilder's managerial style, I think, is maybe getting a little bit dated. I think there are some players in recent times at both Middlesbrough and at Watford who haven't necessarily responded that well to it. But from what we've seen in this first couple of games, I think we're seeing a bit of a reaction here. Not surprising, given that a lot of those players worked for him last time too. Villa clearly incredible at home and score a lot of goals. But, the fact remains they still are overperforming their XG at home massively in terms of goals scored. So I think having 2-1, 3-0 on side here appeals to me more than Villa absolutely running riot.
Yeah, I think if you were to take the higher here, it would have come in 6 times out of 8 this season in Premier League games at home for Villa. The only 2 that don't is Man City and Arsenal, which were both 1-0 wins, which is kind of understandable. The rest have all come in here. But the difference there is that Villa went on a very good run of wins, but no clean sheets.
Yeah.
So if you think that Villa can keep a clean sheet here, and my inkling is it's a 2 or 3-0, then it comes in under.
Yeah.
And that's the difference. And all of the other games, really, apart from Everton 4-0 and the City and Arsenal ones, it's been 3-1, 4-1, 6-1. Always that 1 on the end, which tags on. If you don't think that's coming with Sheffield United, which I don't, because they're the weakest team in the league, then I'm taking lower.
Yeah, same hymn sheet there, totally. This is a high line. It's higher than Unai Emery likes to play his defensive line of calls to get that in. And you look at Wilder, 3 games in charge, lost 2-0 to Liverpool, beat Brentford 1-0, and then lost 2-0 to Chelsea. So that kind of sums up where they're at and what they're looking to do. They failed to score in 7. Sheffield United, and I see it going that way. As I say, a 2-0, 3-0 to Villa here is what I would expect to happen. Not expecting Blades to score, therefore we've got to go on the fact that are Villa going to be able to score 4 or 5 here? They can, but I'd rather have the others on side. Simple as that, really.
You can make the use of the Bet25 Get 50 offer to new customers only with Sporting Index and Spreadex. Click on the link below, and Total Goals is one of those markets too, so you can make the use of that. On to West Ham against Manchester United, the David Moyes derby, and this is we've got 2. Got 2 markets here we're going to be looking at. First up is the supremacy market, where West Ham are favourites, which I think says quite a lot about Manchester United's season so far. West Ham just about favourites. 0.1 is the midpoint here with Spreadex. So lower here would be a Manchester United win or a draw. Higher would be a West Ham victory. Going higher or lower? 3, 2, 1. Ooh.
Yeah, I thought it might be. I'm just enjoying the interaction with the Man United fans after slating them last week. They've flooded into my messages. And
how was that?
It's great fun. Absolutely great fun. So here we go again. Yeah, look, a back to the wall point, I think we can call it, against Liverpool. 34 shots faced. And they got battered at Newcastle, albeit only losing 1-0. So I've gone over this a lot as far as their record against the better sides. Well, West Ham do currently sit 8th in the table. They're only a point and a place behind United, so big incentive for them to win this one, to leapfrog them. Obviously, last night's result hasn't filled me with lots of confidence on that side of it, but it was slightly rotated, and I think the implementation,
very slightly.
Six rotations. Paquetá not playing was the key element of that, of course.
Came on with half an hour to go.
He did. Yeah, the game was gone by then. So I don't think they really laid the glove on them.
Yeah.
The main point is I'm fading Man United, because I just don't feel. I think they got themselves up to some degree for Anfield visit, and I just don't feel that they will be up for this one in the same way. we often see that kind of with United this season. They have gone and put a performance and you go, oh, hang on, there's something there, there's a spark. And then they go, oh, actually, no, that's gone again. So that's the route I'm taking it down. It's a risk, like going for West Ham here to win, admittedly, but that's what I fancy, because I've liked what they've got with Kudus, with Paquetá, with Bowen in those forward areas, and they seem to have got a nice settled side and an attractive side in forward areas, and the fact that they will sit deep, that doesn't suit Man United, who do like to be able to counter-attack. So it'll be a case of who gives what, and I think United will look to come at them, and West Ham can cause them problems on the counter-attack.
You say that United like to counter-attack. I don't see much evidence of that. Like in games where they concede a lot of possession of the ball, like I know that they only lost 1-0 to Newcastle. I know they managed to hold Liverpool 0-0. But like on the balance of play, those scorelines did not reflect what we saw. We didn't really see any attacking threat from United. Okay, they had one or two opportunities against Liverpool on the break. But I kind of think in a way, if West Ham do invite United onto them, we'll have to see a different side of United that I think might suit the actual players that they've got. Like I personally, we did another podcast this morning together, and I put up a West Ham win in this game. But I just think with the line being so low, on the balance of probabilities, like United or having United or a draw on my side seems to be the way to go for this one. Like I do respect West Ham. I think West Ham playing midweek and playing on Wednesday doesn't help their cause, because United obviously not involved in that cup anymore, so had the week off. And often with United, I think you can get a bit bogged down in how poor things are, where realistically should West Ham be favourite? Should West Ham have just been dispatched midweek by Liverpool 5-1 in a game where it could have been any scoreline really? Should they be favourites at home to United, with United having had the rest? I'm not convinced.
Yeah, I don't really have much more to add, because you've kind of nailed it. And I just don't really know what shape this game is going to take. Often you look at a game and you have a pretty good picture in your mind, right or wrong, but you have an idea of what you think is going to happen or the way it's going to go. I have no idea what I'm about to watch.
Whoever scores first just sits.
Not a clue. So I'm sort of going along with you, with the line being low and sort of effectively like a double chance.
Yeah.
And that's how I've had to play it.
Yeah, fair enough.
George is going to get a winner over the weekend, by the sounds of it. If you've got West Ham on one show and you've got the draw of Man United on this side. So.
Well, that's true. That's a good point. Yeah, nice. I like that. Might do that more often. First match goal is the next market here. This is with Spreadex, where this is the time that the first goal is scored in the game. So the midpoint is 33.5. If there's a goal scored after 20 minutes, then your lower will be a winner. If there's a goal scored after 50 minutes, then higher will be a winner. So lower is an early goal, higher is a late goal. 3, 2, 1.
Ooh, there we go.
All of us. Yeah, I kind of just think that both United and West Ham games are fairly chaotic, in the sense that United really struggle to prevent teams from scoring. We know that they have got attacking players who should cause West Ham issues. You mentioned the West Ham's key attacking players who, are so good and so dynamic on the break, that I think they will cause a United side who's defensively, again, in terms of keeping shots out, are pretty poor. So I don't see how or why this will be cagey, especially when cagey games are normally when one team are happy to kind of have the ball and keep possession and the other team is happy to set off. In this case, I don't really see, as Sam said a second ago, I don't really see how this is going to look and why that would be the case. Yeah,
I don't know how it's going to look, but I know if there's going to be a goal in this game, it's going to come early and it's going to set off a chain of events. That's how I feel. And you look at West Ham in the last couple of home games they've played, it's 2-0 and 3-0. It is an attack that is playing with a lot of confidence. I know midweek happened, but generally speaking, at home, it is a team that's playing with confidence, with Kudus and with Paquetá and with Bowen, clearly capable of scoring the goals. They are scoring early, like that is happening at home. That it tends to come in the first 30 minutes or so, which falls in line with this. And Man United, I know they just kept a clean sheet at Anfield, but 34 shots faced, should have conceded a goal in the first 3 minutes. I just think everyone's going to panic on the first whistle, and there'll be a goal somehow. That's kind of how I see it.
Yeah, and that's been the trend in West Ham games at home. Certainly 6 of 8 have seen a goal underneath this mark, underneath 33 minutes. 23, 13, 3 in the last 3 games at home. There's been goals in the 8th and 7th minute as well after that as well. So the average time of first goal at the London Stadium this season has been 20 minutes. So that gives us plenty of wiggle room for this one. And as you say, United has scored a couple of early goals as well away from home. So I think there is an early goal in it. Hence why the lower, and I think West Ham will go here with confidence, or at home with confidence, given have got a decent record. 7 wins in the last 10 across all competitions, and they only one defeat in the last 6 in the Premier League. So I think they will fancy this one against United. They obviously did beat them with an early goal last season as well in this one 1-0. So going with the lower, yeah.
Yep.
Cool. On to the Championship now. Leeds against Ipswich, a massive clash between 2nd and 3rd, and Ipswich win here would really set them clear of Leeds. A Leeds win would bring them back towards Ipswich, possibly Leicester, depending on what happens there. First Leeds goal is the market here, so similar to first match goal, but this is specifically Leeds, and the midpoint here is 44.5. So basically, are Leeds going to score in the first half is the question in this one. For reference, Ipswich's midpoint is 56, so Leeds are the favourites to win this one. 44.5 is the midpoint here. Are we going higher or lower? 3, 2, 1. Jeez.
Aren't we agreeing? It's Christmas.
It is.
This sounds and looks like an absolute cracker.
Humdinger.
Yeah. Game of the weekend?
For sure.
There'll be some debate about that, but certainly in the EFL. Must-win game for Leeds? Would you say at this early stage of the season still?
I think a draw. A must not lose.
Must not lose.
I think it's a must-win.
Yeah.
That gap is looking
big.
10-point gap, isn't it? You know, so, but a win here certainly brings
Also
them...
worth mentioning that Ipswich play Leicester on Boxing Day. So it's a massive couple of games this year for Ipswich.
Absolutely.
Leicester gets a warm-up.
Make or break, must win. We can say it more, can't we?
We can,
time.
yeah. Leicester get a nice warm-up with that. They get Rotherham at home. And
Yeah.
you say, oh, whatever happens with Leicester. Are you kidding me?
that was like an in-joke for those who are...
Oh, gotcha.
Well, Leeds...
6 on, I think they are,
Yeah, so quite warm favourites. Unbeaten in 12 at Ellen Road across all competitions this season. 11 league games, of course, as well. Disappointed to draw with Coventry, but I think they'll be absolutely bang up for this one. They had won 7 previously to that. So we're talking about the time of the first goal here. I think Ipswich only know one way, and that's to be front foot, to be looking to be the aggressors as well. We know that they've got goals in them, absolutely. But, you know, Daniel Farker talked previously about sides putting men behind the ball, and that kind of context won't be the case in this one. There'll be 2 sides that will be going for the win and looking for to play the right way. As such, 1 clean sheet in the last 10 for Ipswich, so they've not been great defensively. They have been about scoring more than the opposition, really, which has been a great watch. 1 clean sheet in 5 on the road, and they've conceded 7 across that period of time as well. So their away form as well, it's goals-wise, they've conceded in the 12th minute, then kept a clean sheet, the 5th minute, the 4th minute and the 13th minute across those last 5 games. So early goals certainly rife. As far as Leeds are concerned, lower than this line against Middlesbrough, Swansea, Plymouth, Huddersfield, Bristol City and QPR. 6 of the last 7. So absolutely do tend to look to get out of the blocks quickly. Going to be roared on by their home crowd. We know how it works at Ellen Road. And this is one of those games that I think Coventry, from what I heard, from Leeds fans that I know, was a little bit of a kind of subdued atmosphere, because I think they just sat there and said, well, we're going to go and win. Obviously didn't turn out, but this one I think they'll be bang up for it. And of course, the last game was absolute carnage. The reverse fixture at Portman Road, which ended 4-3 to Leeds, but it was 3-2 at half time, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So Ipswich took the lead after 7 minutes, then Leeds scored in 10, 14 and 19. So how many early goals do you want? We only need 1.
We're very confident in this.
Yeah.
So how low would this line have to be before you didn't consider lower? Because, like, I swear I get goal alert. Leeds, 4 minutes. Somerville. Leeds, 9 minutes. Luton. It's not just first half an hour. It's not just first half, which this gives us.
Do you have goal alerts on for every club?
Sorry?
Or just Leeds?
No. Not every club.
So you always have Leeds ones?
No, not always. Well, no, okay, fine. So I've got...
I get your point.
I've got Southampton bias,
yeah,
and I'm looking at the competitors.
Fine.
That explains
Fine.
that one.
Yeah, good. But yes, I mean, how low would I feel like I was the least sold on this, but you say your reasoning and I'll...
I mean, a lot of the stats back it up.
Yeah.
4 of the last 6 for Leeds comes in before half an hour, often again like 5, 9 minutes. Ipswich, since November in away games, have tended to concede a couple.
Yeah.
All of it points to, if you give me a whole half, I'm going to take it.
Yeah. I mean,
this is a long time.
I do agree. I mean, the only things that concerned me was that Ipswich went to Borough, who were a very good attacking side, and nullified them, like in a way that I wasn't expecting them to be able to do. Even against, who was it they played last time out, where they, Norwich. In the first half, even though Norwich did score in the first half, it didn't create much.
No.
And Ipswich were very, very good at keeping, and again, a side who can score goals, even for Norwich's, issues. They kept them pretty well at bay. The interesting thing for me is the tactical matchup of this game, where Leif Davis is Ipswich's left back, and he plays incredibly high. Harry Clark, their right back, also plays really high. And Leeds play this very weird system where you've got Joel Peru playing as like almost like a shadow striker to Jorginho Rute, who plays as deep a lying forward as you could possibly be. And what that creates is this kind of vortex where both wide players, Somerville and James, are given free rein to play as the highest players and the biggest goal threats themselves. So you've got Ipswich playing two incredibly high fullbacks, and they won't change the way that they play, against a team in Leeds who their biggest two goal threats are wingers. That to me spells trouble. We saw it in the first game, which was 4-3, and I think Somerville in particular against Clark, I think we'll have a really fun time. So
agreed.
Even though I rate Clark a lot, and I'm sure Ipswich will offer a lot going forward. I'd be amazed if McKenna doesn't come into this game, setting them up to attack. So yeah, 44.5 is the midpoint there of a Sporting Index, and we are all saying there'll be a Leeds first half goal. Should be an absolute cracker, that game. So should this one, for the much smaller accolade of Premier League title race, title challenges. Liverpool hosting Arsenal in this one. Liverpool just about the favourites for this. 0.15 is the midpoint here with Sporting Index. So again, a lower here would be Arsenal or draw. A higher will be a Liverpool win. I've got a feeling I'll say the same thing. 3, 2, 1. Sam?
I'm not betting against Arsenal right now.
Nor am I.
I look at Arsenal right now and I see what I believe to be the best team in the league. I see a team that, out of possession, defensively, is absolutely astonishing, genuinely. I keep looking back at that goals record, the John Terry, Ricardo Carvalho era, and thinking, my God, how good must they have been, because they only conceded a handful of goals over the course of the season, when Arsenal are roughly around that mark right now. And I look at Arsenal and I think this could be, if this continues over the second half of the season, a top 5 Premier League era defensive unit or defensive display. They are that good. They are that hard to play against. And I do have my doubts about Liverpool. You know, I know that at home they've been really strong and the attacking numbers look good. There's something not quite right about them. I can't put my finger on it, but they can't get all 3 of their big attackers to play well together at the same time. They can't quite construct it. Jurgen Klopp's moaning at the fans for not providing enough atmosphere. And I'll reference Roberto De Zerbi, who after the Brighton game said, "We are not used to suffering in this way." I mean, De Zerbi, first of all, has played some big games against some big managers in his time in the Premier League. He's also beaten some big teams.
Yeah.
And for him to say that about this Arsenal team is pretty telling, in my opinion. So I cannot predict Arsenal to lose a game of football or even draw one at this point, genuinely. I know they just lost to Villa, but again,
what a team.
Yeah, at home.
Perfect. Yeah, sometimes it's different, but I'm going lower.
Yeah, all those reasons. Yeah, absolutely superb for Arsenal this season, especially defensively. And Liverpool, yeah, we mentioned the 34 shots in that game against Man United, but they averaged out as an XG per shot of 0.07. Yeah. So they were what we classify more as pot shots than absolutely creating.
And they were doing it again
chances.
midweek as well. And Zoboslai's goal is great, but he keeps shooting from 25 yards, or it's Ibrahima Konate shooting.
I think that's been the trend over the last few games. Actually, if you break it down over the last 5-6 games, then they tend to be firing in a lot of shots. But as you say, from all kinds of angles, which is great when they go in, but a little bit frustrating when they don't. If you're a Liverpool fan or supporting them in a higher or lower situation. So yeah, absolutely happy to take Arsenal and the draw in this one. I think it's going to be a tough one. I think they're going to be a hard side to break down. Liverpool are going to find Arsenal a very tough nut to crack. So yeah, I think they genuinely play with a little bit more caution away from home as well. They understand the concept of it, and I think they will go here and look to nullify Liverpool and obviously cause lots of threat as well themselves on counter-attacks with the players they've got in those forward areas.
Yeah, totally agree. And also, Liverpool playing Wednesday evening doesn't help matters either in my mind. So yeah, it's obviously Anfield it's a really tough test this for Arteta and his side, but it does feel like they're coming into this in some really good form, and not many injury issues to worry about either. And with Liverpool, I still just, I mentioned it last week as well, with Endo playing as that central midfielder and against a team who press so effectively. I think kind of Ødegaard on Endo will be an interesting tussle in terms of that pressing and trying to win the ball out of the pitch. So yeah, I think Arsenal draw is a very strong fantasy for this one. Total goals in the same game with Sporting Index, the midpoint is 3.1. So lower would be 3 or fewer, a higher 4 or more. 3, 2, 1.
Hey.
I'm on my own.
Oh, thanks for that. That's the first point we've differed.
I know.
I think.
That's why I did it.
Starting to get
I generally, and I feel like I say this, I generally think the games between teams at the top end of a table with a lot at stake, despite attacking talents are normally cagier than you anticipate and would go lower. But in this case, I do think, despite Arsenal's very good defensive shape and their very good defensive record, I don't think many teams, or basically any teams, go to Anfield and manage to shut out Liverpool. And I don't think Arsenal will be able to do that themselves, despite them having clear attacking threat themselves. I also think that the way that these games normally go is if there's an early goal, then things become very, very hectic and chaotic, where basically both teams, there's no way either Liverpool or Arsenal sit on their lead, ever, really. Like, neither of them are going to sit into their shape and say, right, let's protect to 1-0. And that normally causes things to unravel a little bit. So it's kind of a gut pick, a vibes pick, if you will, that this one could be a bit of a classic, I think, if we get an early goal and could descend into something that will be fun for the neutral with both teams attacking threat at the forefront of it. Sam, why do you disagree?
Well, it's difficult for me to sit here and talk about how Arsenal are potentially top 5 Premier League era defensively and off the ball, and then suggest that this one can go crazy.
5-0.
It would be okay, also crazy.
Yeah.
But it's hard for me to sit there and praise the defensive strength of the team, assuming then that can stop this game from breaking out into the sort of chaos that you're describing. So I kind of feel like the two are linked. So I felt like I had to go lower. You give me 3 goals here. It's a lot.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, and for that reason, I think that's the key element. George, I think you bang on. If there's an early goal, that completely changes the dynamic. That's the crux of this one. If there's an early goal, anything could happen. I just feel that looking at the trend on the bigger games this season have tended to be on the tighter side rather than not. Arsenal City, Villa Arsenal, Newcastle Arsenal and City Arsenal all ended 1-0. This could go down a similar route. I think there's been a couple that have had more than higher goals, but generally as a result of an early one, as you say. So if this one starts a bit tight and goes into half time, say all square or 0-0, then I think this one does definitely look like being a lower with 3 goals on side. I've got to take it.
Yeah.
Final game in this week's episode of Higher or Lower is Wolves against Chelsea. Chelsea jubilant. What scenes at Stamford Bridge after their penalty win against Newcastle? Who said the EFL Cup is dead? Chelsea fans certainly enjoying themselves for once this season. Total goal minutes is the market here. So it's the total cumulative minutes in which a goal is scored in the game. So if it's 2-0, for example, and there's a goal in the 5th minute and the 55th minute, it would make up 60. If there's just a goal in the 90th minute, it would make up 90, and so on and so forth. 145 is the midpoint here with Sporting Index. So 140 to sell, 150 to buy. Going higher or lower? 3, 2, 1. Wow, you guys are going higher.
We are going higher. I know.
I am amazed. Firstly, it's a fairly high line, I would say. Secondly, you've got a Chelsea side who, for all of their good underlying numbers, we know have an issue scoring goals. And
That's true. Why have I done this?
Wolves at home this season, in fairness, have seen, I think, only one game yet. At home to Burnley was the only game that hasn't caught BTTS, which is showing that they have, they're certainly fairly decent going forward. Their defensive record hasn't been great either. I think the way this game will go is that Chelsea will largely dominate possession, as they tend to do. But I just don't, with Chelsea games right now where defensively, despite individual errors at times, with Badiashile being the latest one in midweek, they are fairly robust in terms of stopping the opposition from creating too much and fairly wasteful in front of goal. And Kunku's arrival will be interesting for this one. I do think that he could provide something pretty exciting, but I don't know, this game doesn't scream goal fest to me at this stage. We had the Brighton game, obviously, that was with Chelsea recently, but that in part was down to a red card. I think 11v11. I don't see this being, a big end-to-ender. But Jack, you clearly do.
Yeah, I think this could be a bit of anything, really, to be honest. And I've got a killer stat to come up at the end here, which I know you'll have a really irrelevant stat, and this is possibly my most irrelevant stat of the
in 1986, Wolves and Chelsea played.
Later than that. So I just think it could be anything. So I looked at, you look at Wolves, they've scored in all 8 at home this season. I think generally speaking, we've always had that conception that Wolves have always been a little bit struggling to score goals, but not been the case this season. 8 scored in every home game. They've had some tough fixtures as well. You look at the games against Brighton was 4-1, Liverpool was 3-1, City was 2-1, Newcastle 2-2, Spurs was 2-1 as well. So they have had goals in them and a good few late goals as well, which of course will be a key element to this particular selection because we're talking goal minutes. All we need is 2 goals in added on time. That's all we need. Happy days. They scored in 15 of their 17 games across the season in the league altogether. Only 1 clean sheet at home, which obviously is the problem. You mentioned that one, that Burnley, only 2 all season, which is quite un-Wolves-like, to be fair, isn't it? So Chelsea, they've scored 4 on 3 occasions this season. They've conceded for 2 occasions, so it's again a little bit of a mismatch what we're going to get from them. Failed to score twice away, only 2 clean sheets, only 4 all season. So I just think there will be action at both ends based on what I've seen from both these 2 sides over the course of the season. Wolves home games average 144.38. Chelsea away games average 159.25 as far as the goal minutes are concerned. So well in there. I think with Hwang and with Cunha scoring more goals than probably expected, and they're combining quite well as far as that's concerned. There's a chance that Neto might be available for this one, which would be a big boost, even if it's just off the bench. And again, Jackson, Palmer, I think is in good nick at the moment, is impressed. And that Nkunku, I'm really looking forward to seeing him come into the Premier League. And obviously, we need a bit of time, but expect to see him perform exceptionally well. And Christmas Eve games in the Premier League. No, average 4 goals per game. They do.
Nice.
Yeah, admittedly only 1 game.
Is that the killer stat?
No.
Oh, there's more.
Wolves games on Christmas Eve, even bigger. They average 8 goals per game.
There's only 1.
Yeah, 5-3 against Derby in 1966.
1966.
That's fantastic. I've also got some pointless stats that point to nothing.
Go on.
I thought I was stupid coming in with this, but
No, I'm more
I
stupid than you.
feel like, yeah. So when I looked at this, vast majority of Chelsea's last 6 Premier League games and Wolves' last 6 Premier League games have gone for 3+ goals. I think if you're getting 3+ goals and you feel comfortable with that, you are in with a shot of the higher here. I know it's a high line, but I wanted to take a punt at the end, and I think the ingredients are potentially there.
Lovely ingredients for total goal minutes there from Wolves Chelsea. With some of the best statting I've heard in this table for a long time. Thank you very much to both Jack and Sam for showing their thoughts and insights, not just today, but over the course of the year so far. Yeah. Looking forward to bring on 2024, where we'll have Dan back from his sunning himself on the beach in Australia. Make sure you check out Spreadex and Sporting Index for all of your spread betting needs. As I say, if you don't have an account, click on the link in the description below and you can use that new customer offer of Bet25, get 50. Check out oddschecker for all of your fixed odds betting needs as well. And also make sure you check out WhoScored, who provide all of the stats-based stuff you could possibly need. No bookings this week, no ref watch.
I know, I'm surprised Sam was even here.
Yeah, I know. We'll be back in a couple of weeks with that. Do remember that with spread betting, losses can exceed your initial deposit. Enjoy all the festive football and all the festive sport, really, over the next week or so. Have a very, very Merry Christmas, and we'll see you very soon.